Welcome to section 21.3. This is the 211th session of the CISSP exam prep series. In this session, we'll turn from malicious code to attacks on the applications themselves. We'll answer several questions. What is a buffer, overflow, and why does it keep happening? How does timing become a weapon? What makes backdoors so dangerous? How do attackers climb from user to administrator? And what new risks arrive when applications learn to think? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because these flaws live in the software your organization writes and buys every day. Imagine you advise the development team at an online ticketing company. A single unchecked input field or a leftover shortcut can hand an attacker the keys to the server behind your checkout page. When you can name these attack patterns, you can push for the exact coding habits and patches that shut them down. What is a buffer overflow, and why does it keep happening? It happens when a program accepts input larger than the space set aside to hold it. That extra data spills past its reserved memory and corrupts whatever sits next door. In the worst case, the overflow overwrites executable instructions, letting an attacker run commands of their choosing on the server. The root cause is missing input validation, because many languages will not enforce size limits for you, and some developers skip the bounds checking to save time. Your job is to make sure input is checked for length, correct type, and sensible values before it is ever used. Picture pouring a gallon of water into a cup and letting the spill short out the outlet behind it. How does timing become a weapon? Computers do things in a predictable order, and attackers exploit the gap between two steps. The classic pattern is a time of check to time of use attack. First, the program verifies that a resource is fine to use, the time of check. A moment later, it actually uses that resource, the time of use. If an attacker can swap the resource in that sliver of time between the two, the program acts on something it never approved. Because the attacker is racing the legitimate process, these are also called race conditions, and more broadly, state attacks, since they exploit changes in system state. Think of a security guard checking your bag at the door, then someone quietly swapping the bag before you walk through. What makes backdoors so dangerous? A backdoor is an undocumented way into a system that skips the normal access checks. Developers sometimes add them during building and debugging to avoid logging in over and over, then forget to remove them or leave them deliberately to peek at data they should not see. Malicious code also plants its own backdoors to guarantee an attacker easy return access. The danger is precisely that nobody documented it, so it sits outside your controls, unseen and unmonitored. Anyone who knows the secret can walk straight in to steal data or watch users. Picture a builder who leaves an unmarked side door with no lock and never tells the owner. How do attackers climb from user to administrator? Once they gain any foothold, attackers usually want more power, and that leap is called a privilege escalation attack. A common tool is the rootkit, freely available online and built to exploit known operating system flaws. The attacker often starts with an ordinary user account grabbed through a stolen password or social engineering, then runs a rootkit to reach root or administrator level. From standard user to full control, that jump is the whole point. The good news is that one plain habit blocks most of these, keeping current with security patches, since consistent patching shuts the door on the very flaws rootkits rely on. What new risks arrive when applications learn to think? As software leans on artificial intelligence, whole new attack classes appear, and the machine learning security top 10 catalogues the worst of them. Attackers can hijack a model, bending its intended function toward tasks it was never meant to do. They can feed it subtly altered input, nudging a few pixels in an image to force a wrong prediction. They can poison the training data, slipping in malicious examples that corrupt what the model learns, and even plant hidden backdoors. They can invert a model to extract sensitive training data, or steal it outright by querying it enough to rebuild a copy. And they can strike the AI supply chain, compromising a pre-trained model or dataset before you ever integrate it. Your defenses are familiar in spirit, strict input validation, adversarial training, anomaly detection, watching for model drift, and fencing in what the model is allowed to learn in production. So let's bring it together. Buffer overflows spill oversized input into neighboring memory, so validate length, type, and value. Timing attacks exploit the gap between checking and using a resource, the race condition. Backdoors are undocumented entrances that bypass your controls entirely. Privilege escalation, often via rootkits, turns a small foothold into full administrative control, and steady patching blocks most of it. And AI-powered software adds fresh risks, from poisoned data to stolen models, defended by validation, monitoring, and tight boundaries. Name the pattern, and you can prescribe the fix. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on RooCloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.